Hello and welcome to Loving Me, Myself, and Life with me, Jenny Misiak. Today we're going to talk about saying goodbye to limiting beliefs. Now, maybe the ones I share with you today, maybe you don't have them all, but maybe you can relate to some of them. I believe I'm going to share 7 of them with you. And, beliefs are things that we have kind of taken in throughout our childhood. Usually a lot of them stem from our childhood. Sometimes we learn them later, but a lot of them, they're from our childhood. So we take them along and sometimes we're not even aware that we have them or why we have them. But I'm going to share 7 with you today. And, let's say goodbye to our limiting beliefs so we can live our lives so much more fully and awesomely. So the first one I'm going to talk about is one of the biggest ones. And I'm sure that, I know myself, I feel I've had that. Even now and then, occasionally it will be there. And it's not so much about saying goodbye, I guess, as becoming aware of them. And then when you're aware of them, you can say goodbye to them, but they might still occasionally show up because we've had them for so long. And then it's just being mindful of when they show up. And then be like, no, this isn't my belief, and let it go again. So it's not as easy. Well, it can be as easy, I guess, as throwing it out, out with the garbage. But in theory, they are going to pop up now and then sometimes. So be gentle on yourself and this process, because if it's been with you for so long, it's going to be a harder one to let go. But then at the same time, I don't want to have you say it's going to be hard, because then that will prevent you as well. So let me say this. Be gentle and loving with yourself with this process. That is all. So the first one is, I'm not good enough. I am not good enough. How many times have you told yourself this? I know I have. And it's just this idea that we have to be something. Usually it's we'll see other people in our lives, and let's be honest, we only see part of their side, their life. We only see the parts that they want to show us, especially if you're looking on social media. But then there's also society and social media, all these things sharing with us what it is that we should look like or be like. And oh my goodness, we're not all meant to be the same person. So having this idea that we have to be something more than we already are, that's not cool. So it doesn't mean that we can't keep learning and growing and getting to know ourselves better. However, it means that right where you are in this moment, you are enough. You are good enough. You are awesome enough as you are. Where you are right now and who you are right now is where you're meant to be. And you're listening to this podcast. So it'll help you grow and, let go of these limiting beliefs. And then even just be more mindful of when they show up. Right? When they do show up, be like, why don't I think I'm good enough? Why don't I think, where in my life was I told I wasn't good enough? I grew up not being very supported in my life. I love my parents. I had some moments in my life, though, when I had to heal past wounds and let go of some beliefs that I got really frustrated, because there's a lot of beliefs that I learned. And this one is a big one, that I'm not good enough, because I heard it a lot as a child, that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't smart enough, and things like that. So it can be hard. And this is why I think it's occasionally still pops up for me, especially when, I haven't been taking care of myself. Maybe I haven't slept well enough and things like that. And then I beat myself up. And then it comes down to imposter syndrome too, right? Where you feel like you're not good enough to do something. So I'm going to give you an example, because I'm doing yoga, doing more yoga teacher training. I'm actually going to a yoga retreat center. Before I did a lot of my yoga training online. So I get to go in person, and not so much imposter syndrome, but more like I'm not good enough because I'm not this idea of what a yoga instructor is. My idea is that they're really thin and very flexible and things like that. And I think the world needs more yoga instructors like me. A little curvy, a little bit more, I don't know. I am not always calm. I am very fun and outgoing and very energetic. And usually I see it like it's very calming and very flowing. And that is totally cool. But anyways, what I'm saying is I had this idea of what a yoga instructor should look like. And I'm like, I don't fit into that. But the cool thing is I don't have to fit into it. I can embrace who I am and be the yoga instructor I am. So isn't that really cool and powerful when we can be like, okay, I see, like I didn't go down the yoga teacher role for a long, like that. I didn't go down that road for so long because I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was thin enough or even more like chill enough, peaceful enough and things like that. So I can hold myself back. I held myself back really because I didn't think I was good enough to be a yoga teacher instructor. But here I am now, embracing that part of me and realizing that I don't have to be like some of the ideas that I have of yoga instructors. In fact, I've met others now where I'm like, right, I had this idea, but it's not actually real. So isn't that fun too? We have these ideas in our head and they're not really real. That doesn't mean like there aren't some out there, but like I had this idea and it wasn't really true. So it's those beliefs again that sneak up. But yeah, imposter syndrome is a real thing. And I had it even when I started coaching. And even to this day, it will sneak in there sometimes. Because I am not perfect. And then I'm like, but I'm not perfect, so I can't help people. However, I have to remind myself that no, that's what helps me coach so much better. I am not perfect. So I'm working on myself. I'm growing. I'm looking deeper into the crazy, world of my past and be like, where did that crazy come from? Okay, not crazy, but you know what I mean? Like, where did that come from? Where did that emotion come from? Why did I get triggered? And I ask myself things a lot. So no, I'm not perfect, but it's those imperfections that make me an amazing coach because I've lived it. And to this day, I'm still living it. So anyways, so that's the big one is I'm not good enough. And then another one, and this has held me back as well, actually, is I'm not ready. Have you in your life wanted to do something and you kept putting it off because you didn't think you were ready? Heck, man, I just told you the story of my yoga teacher training where I held off. Like, I didn't think I was ready. Well, and I also didn't think I was enough. Like, it was a whole package, But we can use as an excuse to talk us out of our goals, and then we don't it's a reason to talk us out of our goals, and then we just always find an excuse to say that we're not ready. And it really comes down to just a lot of the time is fear. When we say I'm not ready, usually it's fear. If you find yourself saying this limiting belief, I'm not ready, ask yourself really like, why aren't you ready? Dig deeper. And a lot of the time it's fear. So just think about that. Or this is a good one. This is a limiting belief. I even hear from my own kids a lot. It's too hard. So anytime that you step out of your comfort zone, or I'll step out of my comfort zone, it's hard. Doing something new can feel hard. And it's again that fear level. We're scared to try something new and then it feels hard. But the truth of the matter is when we try something new, it can feel hard at first. And I have this happen all the time with my kids where they're like, it's too hard, or they need to be perfect right off the bat, like riding a bike or skating or any of the things, that take time to learn, or drawing. That's a big one in our house right now, where my oldest has really embraced their style of drawing, But my youngest, he's still struggling with learning and he's just feeling things. It's too hard. He gets frustrated. The thing is, though, when we do something new, first off, it's not going to be perfect. And in our house, we have this thing where it's like, there's no such thing as perfect. It's like practice makes better. So the more you practice, the more you do something, the better you'll get and the easier it will get. So saying it's too hard is really just, it is going to be hard, but it's also could be another excuse. And it could be backed by fear. It really comes down again to fear because we're afraid, that comfort zone, there's a real thing. But the cool thing is, like, when you step out of your comfort zone, it feels so empowering. It is so cool. And myself, like, I'm heading off, like, before I'm recording this, actually, just before going to my yoga teacher training retreat. And I'm gone for a month. Like, I'll be back on weekends, but I'm going off the coast. I'm going to a retreat center, and I am going to be practicing with other people. And that always scares me a little when I get critiqued and watched. Like, my kids have the same thing. So it's fun, right? I'm so glad that I can show them that it's okay to put yourself out there. But I'm going to be honest, I'm scared. I have to leave my kids for 4 weeks, but thankfully I'll be back on weekends. But I'm going to be gone. And it's going to be long, hard days. I'm like, am I going to survive? One of the things I do when I want to talk myself out of it, or I know it's going to be hard, is I don't analyze it. The moment I know that it's something I want to do, I just make plans. I set it in motion. I do the steps, and I forget about all the details. So this week I've been planning. I'm like, how do I get there? Because I need to take 2 ferries to get there. And I'm doing all the math when I have to leave the house and stuff. And I looked at the schedule just so I have an idea. But the thing is, I can't overthink things because, well, thankfully I can't talk myself out of it now. Anyways, it's happening. It's paid for. I'm signed up and everything's a go. But the thing is, the more you think about something, the more you can find things to be scared about, or it can just make it worse. So yeah, there's just so many things that I don't like doing. Like, I had blood work done the other week, and I really don't like that either. And instead of thinking about it, I'm just like, well, it's happening. Like, just set the plan in motion and just go and do it and don't think about it. And it was so much easier than I would have made it out to be in my head. Hopefully that made sense. So sometimes we can talk ourselves up and how hard it's going to be, or how just scary it is, or we can get in our heads and make it, make a mountain out of a molehill. I think that's what the saying is, right? We can make it so much bigger than it's actually going to be. So anyways, that was another one to think about. Oh, another one is thinking that everybody else around you has already figured it out. And this is why I'm so open and honest about my struggles, my challenges in life, the things I'm dealing with and going through, because I never want to have you think that I got it all figured out, because I don't. If you see people on social media or different things and you think they have it all figured out, maybe they do, but the chances are they're still dealing with different things. You're not the only one feeling stuck. And things also might happen where life is really flowing for you and then it's not. So, and then same with other people. But the thing is, no one's life is perfect, and no one's life is, without struggles and challenges, because it's with those struggles and challenges that really help you grow and really get to help you embrace who you really are. They're there. So no one's got it all figured out. So when you think that everybody else has figured it out, or you're like, oh man, she has it all put together, why don't I have it put together? Let that go, because that's not going to help you. It's not going to serve you well. And I mentioned earlier about, actually, I was in another episode that I mentioned, I look at like when people explain their busy schedules and they're doing this and they're doing that, I always have to stop myself and be like, wait, like we are doing what we need to do in our life. Like don't compare yourself to other people or their lives or their schedules. A big, big thing when you're finding yourself thinking about this belief, this is something that you think about, that everybody else has it figured out, is get to know yourself better. Think about all the cool things you're awesome at or that are happening in your life. Lean into gratitude for what you already have in your life. And look at your life a little bit closer and get to know yourself better. Because my guess is that you already have some pretty cool, amazing things going on and that you've already overcome lots of things and you've changed and grown, because you wouldn't be here listening to this podcast if you haven't, or at least not mindful of making changes. So give yourself a pat on the back because you're already moving forward and doing things. And whenever you're feeling this way, to get off social media, because social media just shows you people's good sides or what they want you to see. Because some people, like including myself, I'm not on social media much. I'll try to get better. The thing is, I try to show my struggles on social media too. But the thing is, not everybody does, for one, and they'll show you what they want to see. You won't see their everyday played out. Well, maybe you do, but not everybody. They're going to share like, ooh, yay, like this happened and this is awesome. And if they just show their awesome moments, you're not going to see all the stuff that happens underneath. All the late nights crying and staying up and, pulling out their hair because of, whatever. You don't see all the things, all the struggles and things. So if you're the biggest one when you're struggling with beliefs, with all the ones I just listed, is take a break, take a pause from social media. Because, it's so easy to get lost in thinking that you need to do more, that you need to be more, that you need to have it all figured out by now. And just take a break from social media. Unplug for the day, a week, a month if you want. Or just be mindful. I'm giggling to myself because I've unplugged quite a bit. For almost a year now. I will, like I said, I need to get back on there. Just so I can have another way of reaching out to you guys. The thing is, like, I needed some time away from social media. Not because of comparing myself to others, but because I just found it very stressful. And I had enough stress going on in my life. And with my candida, overgrowth in my gut, stress was like the first thing I needed to really manage in my life to help with everything else. So anyways, back to the beliefs. So yeah, get off social media when you can, especially when you're having some limiting beliefs going on and you're struggling with your own self-worth and self-esteem. Like, get the heck off social media, even if it's just for a little bit. I find it helpful having times on your phone too. I have an app on my phone that allows me to have focus mode, and I get to choose what apps are on at what time. So when I'm in my working hours, I actually have like Amazon's off, so I'm not like shopping on my work hours or even seeing like when things are coming in. My email's off, so if I'm working, then I can be on my computer and I'm not looking at my phone. And there's a few other apps that I have off. I keep my text messaging on because if my husband needs to get a hold of me, or if I need to find out if the kids need to be picked up from school or something like that, I can occasionally look at it. But the cool thing is with the focus on my app is that I can actually pause it. So if I want to take a break, I can say like 5 minutes or 15 minutes. So it's not like it locks me out either. So it's a really cool thing. If that's something that you struggle with, it's built it right into my phone actually. So I've been calling it an app, but it's actually through a Google phone, and they just have that. So anyways, there's so many tools. Like, use technology to your advantage when it comes to, social media times. So just, look at things and see, maybe it is an app actually. It's my wellness app. So it actually is an app, and it's called the Digital Wellbeing app. So that I have found so helpful, and just helping me. Oh, the other ones are like anything that is video related. So Netflix, Prime Video, all those things that would distract me from my work and taking care of me. So like my yoga. So all that goes off like from morning until the afternoon when I'm ready to take time to do all those other things. And usually by then the kids are home and I'm not using my phone anyways. But use technology seriously to your advantage. There's so much cool things out there to help you. And the thing is, it does tell me how long I've spent on everything. So if you're not even aware of your social media time or watching things on your phone, it will tell you at the end. Like you can look at it and see how much time you spent on everything. And that's really eye-opening as well. Just on a side note there, that might help. And another belief that is huge for so many people, that it's too late to change. That old habits, just they're there and they're never leaving. Here's a fun fact. You can always change. I said in a different podcast episode, it was called I Can't Make You Change. And the thing is, you are actually in control of who you are and your life. Now, there are definitely things in life that happen that are that are not within your control. But the thing is, you can change things. You can change your habits. So if you're not flossing now, you can make that a habit if you want to. But it gets back down, like if you haven't listened to I Can't Make You Change, I really recommend listening to that episode if this belief is, keeping you stuck, that it's too late to change. Because there's a huge episode of making a change and that you are the driver of your life and you get to choose. But never ever think that you're too old to change, because there's just so many things I just think about one of my amazing persons that like really helped me on my self-love journey at the very beginning, Louise Hay, who published her first book in her 60s. I think she was 64. And then had a publishing house, Hay House Publishing. And she didn't do that until like in her 60s, like much later. I don't know the ages actually. So like, but after her 60s, like 60, in her 60s, she published her first book and then opened up Hay House Publishing. So it's never too late to change something and to do something different. Huge. Like there's so many people that have done things later in life. And that goes with this other one, that I'm too old, too young, too anything else. Like there's just, you're too something not right with anything, right? Like it's making an excuse that, we're using age as an excuse, right? And I just mentioned Louise Hay publishing her first book in her 60s. So, and too young, oh my goodness, it's never too young to do something. Well, maybe drive if you're young, but you know what I mean? Like within the law limits. And the thing is though, it's fear. It's using that as an excuse, and it holds you back from actually going after what you want. Because the truth is, you're never too old, you're never too young. And it's just, you could think like, oh, but I'm a woman, I can't do that. Thankfully, we're at a point where women are starting to take over the world. We're not fully, where I'd love to be yet. But we've come so far as women. So far. There was not that long ago, I think about 50 years, and I'd have to look it up, but where women couldn't have their own mortgages. It wasn't that long ago. And, but we've come so far. I know we still have ways to go, but I'm going to be, optimistic / lean into gratitude that we've come so far already. So you're never too old or young, or anything else that you're using an excuse of who you are, your background, using that as an excuse. So you can do it if you put your mind to it and, let that belief go. And the thing is, you can actually just go deeper. Like, where did you learn that belief? And it really does come down to thinking about that for all the beliefs I've shared so far is where did you believe that? Like, where did you pick that up? Where did you learn it from? And how is it serving you now? Like, maybe it's keeping you safe. You're using that because you're just like, well, it's safer to say I'm too old or too young. That way I don't have to step out of my comfort zone. So just be mindful. No, like beating yourself up here. That is not what we do here. No beating yourself up. Be gentle and loving with yourself. But again, being honest and open with yourself too. Like really look at it and be like, because we can lie to ourselves to keep us safe as well. So be open and honest and really have a good hard look at things too. So be like, where did I learn it? And how is this, keeping me safe now? Or where did who taught me this? And then be like, well, it's not serving me anymore. So say goodbye to it. Another one is I don't have enough time, or it's I don't have enough money. I don't have enough, whatever it is. I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough energy. I don't have enough. And it's looking at that. It's like, why don't I think I have enough money, time, energy, experience? Because a lot of the time we use these as an excuse. And again, it just keeps us from going towards our dreams. So again, ask yourself, where did I learn this? Is it serving me anymore? And I will share at the end of this a little bit of something you could do to kind of let these go. But really journal about these excuses / limiting beliefs, because they are usually excuses that we tell ourselves. But at the same time, they are limiting beliefs, or they're beliefs that we learned from our childhood. So you can grab your journal out and really get clear on where you learned it from. And then just have a look at it and be like, is this serving me anymore? Or am I just using it now as an excuse to not move forward in life? And another one, actually, I think I said 7, but there's more than that. So I apologize. I'll try and move faster through them. And the next one is I'm not good at, and then whatever it may be. And it's like, I'm not good at playing an instrument. I'm not good at writing. I'm not good at being a mom. I'm not good at cooking or doing the housewife mommy things, I always say my husband's better at being a wife than I am. We joke, we kid. But he definitely takes on the responsibility of the home a lot better than I do. Anyways, but what are you it's again an excuse. And at the same time, maybe you do need to practice more. Remember I said earlier, practice makes better. So if you do find yourself having that belief, maybe it is time to try and do more of that thing and get better at it. Because you're not going to get better at it unless you're practicing. It's the same thing I tell my kids over and over. It's like, if you want to get better, do it more often. Practice. Because practice makes better. So it could be a belief, and it could go deeper than that. But some of the time it might mean that you need to tweak it. But then again, be mindful that you're not hard on yourself. Maybe you are beating yourself up, even though you're an amazing singer, or you are great at writing, or all these things. And maybe you just don't have enough self-love there, and just confidence, really. The confidence is lacking then. So have a look at that. Is it your confidence, or could you improve? And it's really looking at people in your life. So say you don't feel like you're good at baking, but maybe everybody in your life enjoys baking. Then maybe you're just hard on yourself. So it can be two things here. So just being mindful of where that's coming from and where it's stemming from. Remember, these are things that we've all learned in our childhood. So maybe you were always told you weren't good at doing things. I was taught I'm not smart enough. So it's that could have been something that you took from your childhood. Or it might just be like my kids where they want to be perfect at something right away, but they need to practice. You know, you're not just going to jump on a bike and go or tie your shoes in one go, like boom, without practice. So it's just having a look at which area, which way that goes for you. And do you need to practice more, or do you need to let go of that limiting belief? And this is the last one, and it's a good one I've already mentioned for my kids. I have to get it just right. Also known as perfectionism, being perfect. Now, I'm not going to stick on this one too long because I've mentioned it numerous times throughout. But practice makes better, and there's no such thing as perfect. Embrace who you are. Embrace the imperfections around you and who you are. Because there is no perfect. Society might tell us that there's some perfect thing or a perfect size you need to be, or a perfect whatever, the perfect house, there is no perfect. Because what you find perfect isn't my perfect. Like if we're going to use the word perfect here for a second, what I like, what I love, what I like to do, how I do things is going to be different than yours. Because we're two different people. And that is totally cool and totally awesome. So embrace the imperfections within yourself and within your life. Because there's no such thing as getting it right. And again, you can go deeper into where you learn that. Because my guess is it's probably from childhood. Now I feel like my kids are like ingrained because my husband definitely came from like needing to do things perfect. It's like somehow like we try in our house very much to show that we have imperfections, and it's totally cool to be imperfect and things like that. But at the same time, my kids still stumble into that all the time. So it's this constant, I think it's just a social/human thing that happens a lot. So just be mindful and honest with yourself, and then embrace your imperfections, because you're perfectly imperfect just as you are. Awesome. And you're rocking it. Now, I know this was a long one, so I'm going to keep this last bit short, hopefully, but it's a thing that you can do other than journaling. So if you have any of these limiting beliefs, you can write them down. And like I said, you could journal. Now you can do a couple of things where you could write like all about the limiting beliefs and everything, or you can just write down your limiting beliefs on a piece of paper. And then I recommend doing a little bit of a ceremony and letting it go. So you can either bury it or put it in a fire, like safely somewhere. We did this over New Year's Eve. I let go of things from the previous year. So it's letting go of these limiting beliefs. So you can write them down. Before we could have fires outside, when I was in Ontario, we lived in a city that had no wood fires. I would do it in a pan in the kitchen, like a metal throwaway pan. It never felt good, but that's how I did it. Or if the weather was nice, I'd do it outside in a pan. But now I have a fireplace that I can burn it outside, or go to a beach and have a fire there. So it's whatever works for you. And I say you could bury it too. I know some places the ground might be frozen right now, but you can also bury it. I personally, in this area of letting things go, I like to burn it. So it's like poof, gone. When I said goodbye to my grandma's cottage, then I buried it because it was a goodbye letter, and I left it on the property of my grandma's cottage, like in a flower bed. So it just depends on what feels right to you. And in this case, like we talk about not putting yourself in other people's boxes. So whatever feels right to you. And you just write down the limiting beliefs that you want to let go of. And I really encourage you to take some time here and think about it a little bit. Like, feel those beliefs. Feel what or how they prevented you from living your life fully, or how they've kept you stuck. And really just embrace all that for a little bit. It doesn't have to be like hours or hours, like a couple minutes. Just be with those limiting beliefs for a minute. And then let them go. The other one you can do is rip them up into itty bitty tiny pieces. That's up to you. So there's many different things, but it's writing it down and then letting them go in whatever way works for you. I hope this has helped. And just know, like, limiting beliefs, just like, you can change things at any age, you can change them. And the first step is just becoming aware of them, that you even have them in the first place. Because I know I've gone through a lot of my life where I didn't even know that they were keeping me stuck. I didn't even know that I had a limiting belief. Okay, let's be honest, I had many limiting beliefs. And like I said before, they still might pop up now and then. But the more you become aware of them and how they're holding you back and why they're there, and when you kind of pick them up along your life journey, you can let them go in a gentle, loving way more. It all becomes with awareness. Be like, oh, there it is again. Like, oh, like let's, let that one go. It's just being more mindful. And then this way, they don't have to keep you stuck. They don't have to keep you from living your best life. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sticking it out. I know it was a long one. I hope it's helped. And if it's helped you, share the love. Don't keep this episode or this podcast a secret. Share it with others that you think would enjoy it. Thank you again for being here. Find more free resources over on my website at jodymisiak.com. Thank you again for being here. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.